Welcome to A Canadian Investing in the U.S., a podcast and YouTube channel focused on Canadians buying real estate with host Glen Sutherland.
Welcome to another episode of A Canadian Investing in the U.S. This week, my guest is Glen Sutherland. Yes, you heard that right. Glen? Or let's just keep calling you Glen Sutherland. Let's do the full thing. Glen Sutherland,
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay, Glen Sutherland.
Glen Sutherland.
This is your host, Glen Sutherland.
Glen Sutherland.
Glen Sutherland.
Glen Sutherland.
Glen Sutherland. So, on the side, I sell kind of like really old editions of books, also video games as well. So I'll try and find some of the more rarer kind of copies that people they don't know the worth of them. And I'll sell them for profit. That's something I do on the sidelines. What I do full time though is I'm actually a senior care worker.
Cool.
So I work with the vulnerable, the elderly, stuff like that. That's what I do full time.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I think that we probably picked up you have a little bit of an accent. Where are you located, Glen?
So I was born and raised in the north of Scotland in a place called Aberdeen. And then about 8 years ago, I moved to Glasgow, which is where I reside now.
Cool. All right. I have a few questions for you.
Okay, cool. Shoot.
Super intense and very complicated. First
Right.
one, glensutherland@gmail.com. Do you have that? Because I don't. Or is there another Glen Sutherland that has that?
No, I don't have that, unfortunately. I just have Glen and then my date of birth.
Okay.
And it's at Hotmail. So
Oh, yeah. Anyway, I'm always trying to figure out who has that one. Because somebody's
maybe
went
we'll
through and
message them.
yeah.
Maybe we'll invite them to come on the show as well.
Yeah, you know what? I know their email address. I think we could track them down.
Okay.
I do have glensutherland.com, so I have the domain for Glen Sutherland. So I could always hook you up with an email address if you want something at glensutherland.com.
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay, so if you were going to get an at glensutherland.com, what would you go for a name? Because you can't take Glen. I've already taken Glen. So Glen at glensutherland.com is taken. So what's the next best one? I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Okay. I'd probably go for, I don't know, Scotland at Glen Sutherland.
All right.
People know that I am the Scottish Glen Sutherland. There's not many Scottish Glen Sutherlands out there, I imagine.
Well, obviously, I have the same name, but my family background is Scotland as well. So
I thought as much, yeah, with a name like Glen Sutherland, yeah.
Yeah. So my grandparents were over there, but since then we've been over here in Canada. One question. Are you the original Glen Sutherland, or am I the original Glen Sutherland? What year were you born? Who is older?
Oh, gee. Well, I mean, you're probably older. I was born in 1994, so I'm only 25.
Okay, so I win.
Yeah, you were called Glen Sutherland first before I was.
All right, cool.
I was called Glen because my father wanted to go with a really kind of old-fashioned traditional Scottish name, and my mother didn't agree with him. He wanted to go for Hamish or Murdoch, which thank God he didn't, because I would dread the thought of me being called Hamish Sutherland or Murdoch Sutherland.
Well, Murdoch's not too bad.
I've never met anyone in my life called Murdoch.
No,
so.
I don't meet a lot of Glens either, but I still do come across them. But
yeah, it's not the most common name in the world. No.
I was thinking about this before we did the show too,
okay.
And I don't know if you heard of Ellen DeGeneres and stuff. And she goes on vacation, and someone else fills in when she's gone. And I thought, wouldn't that be hilarious if I went on vacation and the sub host was Glen Sutherland subbing in for Glen Sutherland?
that would really be funny. Yeah.
Would you do that? Is that a crazy request? Is that something over the top?
Dude, if you want me to do it, I'll do it. People with bad eyesight, and bad hearing wouldn't even know the difference.
Okay, so if you were the host, let's do the intro. I usually go, welcome to another episode of Canadian Investing in the U.S. This is Glen Sutherland. Let's see how it sounds in Scottish, like with this accent.
Okay, welcome to another episode of Canadian Investing in the US. This is your host, Glen Sutherland.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, I have like 2 more questions and then we'll actually go into your thing. Because I just got thought of these things before I got. Okay. How did you find me? How was I guess you were searching for your name?
I was just really bored one day and I was like, I wonder what will come up if I put Glen Sutherland into YouTube.
Yeah.
And I found a race car driver.
Yeah.
And I found you, and that's about it. Oh, and a musician as well, I think.
I have to check out this musician guy, but I saw the race car guy. Yeah.
So yeah, apparently there's a race car driver out there called Glen Sutherland.
Yeah. Maybe I'll have to get him on next year.
Hopefully we can have a trio of Glen Sutherlands.
Yeah. Ooh. Maybe I could gather up a whole bunch of them, have like the whole screen full.
We should. I actually do know the identity of another Glen Sutherland. He commented on a post that I commented on, and he just commented simply, "Nice name." So he's from England. Funnily enough, we're into the same music.
Last question.
Okay.
Since you're in Glasgow, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but
right.
Celtic or Ranger?
Oh, jeez. I've never been a huge football fan, or as you guys call it, soccer.
Yeah.
I actually live right next to the stadium where Celtic play.
Oh, cool.
So it's like a stone's throw away from my house. So constantly you'll hear people and see people going to the match in just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Oh, so yeah. I can't say that's an enjoyable experience for me because the trains are always absolutely loaded with football fans and they love to drink.
Yeah.
To and from the stadium.
My brother, for his honeymoon, actually went to Glasgow and
oh yeah?
Yeah, he went and saw a Rangers game. I can't remember who they were playing, but he said it was his wife was sick the whole way through it because she you go to the bar and you're like, "Hey, Sutherland, I'm coming back. My whole family's been gone for like centuries. Like, I'm back." And they're like, "Here, shot. Have another shot." And get all these free shots. And he's just like, "Ooh," makes for a rough match to go on. So you have like a side hustle, and so what you're doing is you're finding like some rare books and rare games. Is that kind of the premise to generate some side income?
Yeah. So, people that don't know the worth of some of the possessions that they have, some boxed video games can go for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds if they are in pristine condition. Some books are incredibly rare because there's only a very limited printing of them or whatever. So I collect them and I'll sell them to the highest bidder, really.
So how do you know if they're like in like low print? Like, is there some sort of place to check this online, or how do you even know if it's a good one, or you just have some sort of you just really knowledgeable in this department?
I have a lot of knowledge on it, but I'll search kind of like the serial number, and I'll search the date, and I'll come up with a list of the editions that were made in that year. Yeah. And say like, which cover, judging by the cover, which one is rare and kind of which has a higher value. Okay.
Yeah, and then like, to find these products, do you go to like yard sales and stuff, or how do you locate them? Yeah,
we don't really call them yard sales. More like charity shops.
Okay,
so like charity shops full of stuff that's donated by other people. I also look on Facebook Marketplace as well. I find that that's a place that's full of clueless people. They don't really know the worth of their objects either. Had someone selling a pristine boxed copy of a game, Final Fantasy VII, which is worth at least £30, maybe more, and they were selling it for £5. So, profit.
Are you looking for like old system stuff too, or just new stuff?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, the new stuff's not really worth that much. Well, obviously it's worth like money, Like newer games are obviously going to be quite expensive, but your real money to be made is in boxed, pristine copies of games, and sometimes, if you're lucky, factory sealed copies of games. So never been opened, and they can sell for thousands.
Wow. So is this like, if you like got doing it well enough, do you think it ever could replace your 9-to-5 income?
I guess I could like open up my own shop and like sell like retro kind of video games. Sure. Like I'm pretty sure there's shops like that around that sell really, really retro video games. I mean, I'm sure I've been in one of them before. Yeah, sure. I could probably set my own shop some point in the future to sell kind of retro video games. Sure. Even retro books would be cool.
Yeah, or even like you get some online store or something. You know, I'm in the business of trying to make it super passive, so you don't like no one has to be there, right? Just like list them, and they have like a filing cabinet with all your stuff, and then you, as people want it, you sell it off, and you just sit at home or do whatever you want. You go sit at the pub or whatever your pleasure is.
I forgot to mention that the only like kind of the main author that I collect of is Stephen King. Like I'm a huge Stephen King fan.
Okay.
I literally 90% of the books I have are Stephen King, and some of the copies I have are made in like printed like the early 70s.
Cool. What else do I need to know about buying and selling games and books? What should I have asked you? Because I'm not very knowledgeable in it.
Okay. Well, I would say look for games that obviously come in their original packaging. Look out for the packaging is in pristine condition, no tears, no rips, no scuffs. And if it's factory sealed, well, most people know that they're worth a lot of money. Some people might not. Obviously, they'll be worth quite a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes even, so you get like Japanese editions of games, and I'll have like Japanese box art. They can be quite rare as well.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show, Glen.
Of course.
Thanks for coming on the show, Glen Sutherland.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. If anyone wanted to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do so?
So the best way to get a hold of me is by my email, which is glen1994@hotmail.co.uk. You can find me on Facebook, obviously at Glen Sutherland. My Instagram is Salem's_lot with a 7 at the end, which is obviously a Stephen King book. And that's about it, really.
Cool. Well, thanks again for coming on the show. That was awesome.
No problem, man. Anytime.